There exists a house stealing scam here on Long Island, and this is your alert notice. The woman my guest bought her house from had the same experience almost to a T. It started with an identity theft by a bank for a car loan. Then a series of unbelievable events ensued: faked auto accidents, stalking, and then you discover you're a victim of a theft ring with tentacles longer than we can understand. When you go to the authorities, you find that they are in on it. Where then do you turn? Where can you find justice? Where can you go to find peaceful enjoyment of your real property, your home, and your family? I have with me to discuss issues of house stealing and what happened to this unusual experience Pamela Smith, who is the victim of the house stealing scam. Okay, so you started out buying a car, apparently.
Yes, we've been able to track it back to buying the car, yes. And you divulge all your information. You know, your personal information, thinking, okay, it's just a standard car loan. And then, of course, you go down to the DMV, you register it, you get your information down into DMV. And that's very interesting because when I did that, I got the license plate that had the numbers 1010. And that's how the license plate came out. It had the first three letters and then it had 1010. Now, SCPD 1010 code means motor vehicle accident. So now, we've tracked it from the identity theft at the auto dealership, possibly identity theft at the motor vehicles, and then the accomplice at the motor vehicles gives me the plate marked 1010. So I'm driving down the road, I'm stopped in traffic, and a car slams into the back of me, snapped my neck. So I had a spine surgery. So now I'm constantly surveilled, followed everywhere I go. I call my local precinct, I said, why are you following me, you guys? And they go, well, if you have an open car accident, you can be followed everywhere you go. That's the law. I said, why would you be following me?
Is it the insurance companies or?
Yes, the insurance company hires sometimes off-duty SCPD detectives to surveil someone because they want to make sure they're not faking their injuries. So I said, well, how do you fake a spine surgery? I kept on going. And they kept on surveilling. Then I started writing them letters saying, I'm an innocent citizen, I haven't done anything wrong, I've never interacted with the police whatsoever. Why are you still following me? And it just kept going on and on until finally I realized that no matter what I was going to do, they were going to criminalize me. They were going to find a way to drag me into the crooked court system of Suffolk County. And they did. They showed up in my home one night, 6 of them, arrested me, took me to the precinct. Yes, yes.
What was the purpose of the arrest?
We still don't know. There was no warrant. They showed up at my home. They took me to the precinct. They booked me. They took me to the cesspool court system of Central Islip. They arraigned me. I went home, and I looked at the papers, and they did it in the wrong name. They never asked me for identification. They were just so determined to grab me out of my home like the Gestapo that they never bothered to identify me.
So isn't there some claim you can make against them for that particular?
Yes, of course. I've told them I will bring suit upon them for false arrest. And because of that, I went to the Suffolk County Human Rights, and then they had to do an internal affairs investigation. So that's where it stopped, because of course internal investigation. It's ongoing. It's ongoing.
Oh, it's still going.
Yes, yes. You never really, I believe, get any kind of closure when you have the, the fox watching the hen house.
When you just had a chance to witness the program I just did regarding a house theft, did that seem to be plausible to you then?
Yes, well, it always seems to begin the same way on your programs. People are sucked into the cesspool of the Central Islip or the Suffolk County court system. You see, the money is in the return. There's no justice in the court systems as America's gone sick. The money is in the return. It's just a shakedown. You're not going to get any justice. And I hope that people in other countries who may be viewing this will realize America's sick. America's gotten sick, and America's gotten taken over by a group of terrorists. And we're in trouble over here. If someone could help us, it might be a new day in our country, because it's not my America anymore.
Yeah.
And that's quite evident as the people who come on your show always have the same story. A court issue being dragged through the courts looking for justice. America's not known for growing bananas or coffee beans. We're known for freedom, and we're known for justice. And as Americans, the terrorists know that the psychological blow upon the American when justice is taken away is very heavy. It weighs heavy on Americans. And that's always the first
You know,
weapon they use against us.
What
So
people do when they see the show sometimes and they hear the sound of what you just said,
yes,
it sounds like to them, well, that's a conspiracy. It
it's
doesn't
also
sound
the
real
same
to
thing.
them, I know.
That's why the car
But
accident was so
truth
so
be told,
convenient.
doing this program for such a long time,
Yes,
all
yes.
these things seem very real to me now.
Yes. It's always convenient to start with a car accident because then you could say, oh, she hit her head, therefore she's crazy. You see, once they have you on the slippery slope of being crazy, then every statement you make going forward has to be questioned. And if they bring it to the courts and they've got you crazy, well, they've kind of got you where they want you. It's a Gestapo technique. That's what they used on the Jews when they drove them out of Germany. You see, apparently every Jew must have been crazy at that time. But the angry militants and the uniformed officers had to have someone to beat upon, and they chose the Jews. It is my belief now this same kind of monster is loose in our country, and and it's definitely loose in Suffolk County.
Let's go back to your falsely arrested in August
Yes,
of
the false
2014.
arrest.
Go ahead.
That's always the way to drag you into the court. No American would stand up to be falsely arrested, as we were raised on the old, Superman kind of belief in America, the American way. It doesn't sit right with us. So now we've got the psychological blow of the auto accident, which means she's crazy, and then we've got the false arrest as a more of a psychotic blow upon the American.
What could have been their cause? Like I said, when they came to the door,
Doesn't
to
matter,
arrest
they'll
you.
make it up.
Well,
Even when I had it dismissed for defect in the documents, you see, you're stuck upon what the charge is. Their word is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what they say the charge is.
True
They'll
that.
tell me it was 'cause
True
I was
that. But I
tripping.
do want to hear what they said.
No,
What they
I
said.
will not divulge it to you because I'm not going to give power to their words.
So that's
their court is moot in my universe. I'm not going to give them the power.
Okay.
And it is irrelevant because under the law, booking me by the wrong name is grounds for dismissal. Motion to dismiss, defect in the documents. And that's what everyone who's come on this program seems to misunderstand. Defect in the documents, that's the law. And now that's the other part of the Gestapo regime that came through. They stopped following American law and they started making up their own laws.
That's how it is.
And that's exactly
That's
what has
how it is
happened
in the
Suffolk
family
County.
court.
That's exactly what happens in Suffolk County. Criminal courts or family court. Now, they've got my identity, they've got my identity theft, they've got me tagged with the plate 1010, so I'd be slammed into by a ring of criminals that are staging car accidents. In January of 2014, the Attorney General of New York State arrested 5 criminals staging auto accidents in our area. Here it is as reveals itself. They stage the accidents so that they can put in false insurance claims and collect for injuries that they don't have. They don't care that they've injured me. They don't care that they've set another ball in motion to be surveilled. That's just another one of the moving parts of this Gestapo regime. This is what they're doing to Americans. They've taken our guard away, and now we're all praying to the paper. We're praying to the court documents for our salvation. And that's where they want us. They want us constantly going back and forth to the court, constantly going back to social service, constantly going back to unemployment. You see, that American has to be made to run and work every day.
Well, you said that there was harassing there in your family. I want to jump into another area. They're harassing the family?
Yes, of my family. Yes, my children also were pulled over. The officers would stop them when they're clipping the hedges on the front lawn like a Gestapo would interrogation. Where's your mother? What kind of car does she drive? And so then I said, what's going on here? I went out and I changed the plate on my car from the 1010 plate after the car accident, and I went and got another plate on the car. I said I lost the plate, which was lost in the snow, and then I got a new plate. And the plate came up with the number 4970, which is relevant for one reason. When an officer in the SCPD pulls you over and he has a computer printout on his screen, and he comes to your window and he says, you know, you've got no insurance. And you say, yes, I do. I've got the card right here. I just paid it. Oh, no. The computer says you have no insurance. Oh, really? And the computer can't be wrong? The computer has been manipulated. We know this. They manipulate whatever they want in their computer system. Now, I found this out because they had listed a fake auto accident on my driving record saying I was in an accident in Pennsylvania in August of 2013. 13, they're saying I had an accident in Pennsylvania.
Was that another Pamela Smith?
I live in New York. No, it was on my record. So I called the company that creates the CLUE report. That's the comprehensive loss underwriting report they use to determine how much auto insurance you'll pay. So I called them up and I said, could you please take it off? It's a false report. It's a manipulation of the computer. It's an insurance agent who's put a fake thing on my driving record so that my auto insurance will go up by $400. They said, okay, you'll have to call LexisNexis. LexisNexis publishes law books. LexisNexis has a computer system in the centralized
software program for yes.
Yes, and LexisNexis creates your CLUE report. That's your dossier. When the police pull you over, they see every single thing about you, every single member of your family, where they live, where they work, what medications they take, what hospitals and doctors they go to. Every single thing you can think of is on that little CLUE report about you. It's the dossier that the Gestapo's created in Germany when they created a little booklet or file on every single person living in Germany. So now we've got complete uniformization of the country, which is the SCPD, FD, EMT, UPS, bus drivers. Everybody's in a uniform all of a sudden, just like in Nazi Germany. The second step is to have all of your information about you and your entire family in a little file. It's called your CLUE report. They can manipulate it any way they want. And that's how they've set up Nazi Germany. So this is what they've been doing to me. So I find out that they can take it off, and they do take it off. So my insurance goes down by $400 a year, and I go get a new plate. That's the 4970, because when I called LexisNexis, the phone number is 1-888-497-0011. Now, how is it that I got a plate that said 4970 when I'm disputed? Oh,
certainly.
coincidence.
Well, I know, but
Coincidence.
It's remotely possible.
Now it's 4970, so we decode the phone number because that's part of my job. I'm a security guard for New York State, one of my credentials. And I've sworn an oath to uphold the laws of New York State, and I take that very seriously. Now, 4970, I'm looking at the plate, I'm looking at the phone number. 1-888-497-0011 decodes as cut you guys up one by one.
How does it?
You can go into the onto the website. It's cell phone decoding of phone numbers, and I do this in my day work. I was at the time director of admissions for a security guard training company. I work with the FBI. I work with the Homeland Security guys. We start looking at this. What's going on? 1 is random, 2 is a trend, and 3 is a pattern. So now I come through with a second funny-looking plate. Now 4970, that decodes into their phone number of LexisNexis. Cut you guys up one by one. So what do? We report LexisNexis as a terrorist corporation. And they are a terrorist corporation. And they're part of one of the many working parts to destroy Americans. And you can verify
okay,
this
but you do me a
information
favor and
yourself.
get to the IRS and the NSA while you're at it. Okay.
Yes. I did send this file to the NSA. And that's when it stopped. The surveillance stopped. All of the tampering with my identity, all my financial and personal reports stopped. It all stopped when I got to the NSA. It's 3 times as large as the CIA.
Are you out of that situation now, or are you not?
Yes, I'm out of it now because I was able to write them letters and say, cease and desist. I've notified the Attorney General Fraud Complaint Unit that you've tampered with my mortgage. I've notified the Attorney General Fraud Complaint Unit that you've tampered with my student loan. I've notified the Postal Inspector that you're sending mail fraud through the mail. We've identified that. And I've gone to Human Rights watching the Internal Affairs Department of the SCPD. So everybody's watching each other, which is the thing that throws the Gestapo off, because they only work best in secrecy. They're a very secretive group that's running this county.
Oh, you did say the NSA here, and the CIA too.
Yes, and I reported it also to the Office of Public Integrity.
Inspector General, Public Integrity, the Office of Professional Discipline.
Yes.
The Center Files in New York State, Office of Criminal Justice, and Office of Accreditation. You want to go through that a little bit?
Oh, the Office of Accreditation for the SCPD. Well, if you're wearing a uniform and you commit a crime, isn't that a crime? Isn't that stealing the honor from our officers? Because they're not all bad, these SCPDs. There's good ones and bad ones, like in anything else. However, they want to put forth their wall of blue brotherhood and say we're all good. Well, you know what? Sometimes you're not so good. And you got to own that. But we can't say that in Suffolk County, or they'll hunt you and they'll probably kill you with their little weapons, accidentally tasering you. We all know the cat's out of the bag. We've seen Ferguson.
How many times were you hit from behind?
They just hit me that one day in 2011. However, in 2004, when I had the same situation again, the house was going to be swindled away from me by this group of house thieves. I had another accident in '04, stopped in traffic, boom, struck in the rear, followed by the police, the whole thing, until, of course, I sold the house and moved. And that's what they want to do here. And that's where it ends. It's the typical run you off your land scam. And the FBI has it on their website. It's called house stealing. It begins with an identity theft, and then they go through all of your financial records, drag you through it, and if you want to really find out more about it, go to the FBI website.
It's the FBI website, and it's called the house stealing scam, right?
Yes, it's a scam. It's a scam.
No, it's house stealing is what it's called.
Yes, it's called house stealing. Yes. I've spoken with them about it. And the interesting thing was, yes, there are 14 Pamela Smiths in the court system. 14. Now, the ring of criminals that are working out of the foreclosure office, it's not so much the Supreme Courts in Riverhead as much as there's another layer. It's called e-courts. That means you don't have to appear in court. You can put in the document, you scan it, and it goes right into e-courts. It's working at a separate level that most Americans can't really, or Suffolk County people, as I've spoken to, really can't get into that e-courts. It's more of a technological crime.
You can sign on to e-courts. We use that for my mediation.
Yes, but that would mean that you're dependent upon the computer. So I printed out documents from the Suffolk County Clerk's office, and I could see that there was this one bad mortgage man buying and selling my mortgage sometimes twice in one day. So I printed that out, and then 2 weeks later when I went on the Suffolk County Clerk's website, that information wasn't there anymore because the computer had been manipulated. Now I'm learning a lot of this from Chuck Schumer. He is very interested in the technological crimes that are being perpetrated upon Americans. And I was next going to reach out to him. He's really very interested in how to
you want to let me know how that works?
Yes,
on our issue, he falls flat.
Oh, really?
Yes, he hasn't done anything on us.
Reserve my hope, but I'll stay positive.
Yeah, reserve, until
Yes,
you can find out. But let me know, I'd appreciate that. Okay, so this is basically terrorist activity within.
That's exactly right, because as a security guard, I have training in that. And that's a 4-step process. The first step is, of course, to identify the vulnerable target. And that would put me in that place of a vulnerable target. The second step is to surveil the vulnerable target. The third step is to make a plan to destroy the vulnerable target. And the fourth step is destroy the vulnerable target. And so that is exactly what I've experienced. I called it the Jesus experience. No disrespect to our Lord. And I am a Christian lady, and I love Jesus, and I'm not comparing myself, and I'm nothing like him, and I'm near to perfect as Jesus.
But it does mean the all-powerful, doesn't it?
Yes, and I love Jesus. All right, so please don't be offending you Christian people out there. However, when you recognize what's being done to you, when you're being stalked and separated from your loved ones and going into isolation, you definitely feel more like a Jesus. And I said Psalm 91, which is also known as the soldier's psalm. I was saying Psalm 91, and I hope people will say Psalm 91 to me.
Did you have social workers visit the family?
No, you know what? Because I managed to stay out of that machine. That corrupt machine. Let's see.
We have that corrupt machine in family law.
Oh, yes. They love that. Well, they have to eat. You know, the money's in the return. We got to march it.
That's why they have jails. The jails have to be filled.
Exactly.
Yes, I understand that.
Yes, and who supports the jails being filled? Oops.
Taxpayers.
Well, we're in a socialist society now, so we have social workers. They're going to come and talk to you and tell you how to live the American way.
Yeah, parenting in a box, you put them in a room and you have somebody looking at you making determinations.
Yes,
that's going to run your life. Yeah.
What are their beliefs again?
What are their beliefs?
Who are they making a judgment on me?
They make parents.
Yes, I'm an American. No,
yeah.
That's not, no. To them and to their terrorist brothers and sisters who may be.
How do you expect that we can fight back against this the regime, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, the Gestapo regime. I generally shout out Hasbay Allah alaik. Our Muslim friends will know that means God will follow you, which means you better stay away from me and mine because I'm not going to stand for it as an American. So, Hasbay Allah alaik to you. If you think you're going to surveil me and my family, you have failed. Number one. Number two, the Germans have a saying, paper is patient. And I hold the papers, and we're now all praying to the papers, and we got to be perfect with the papers. It's ridiculous.
It's very unfortunate, isn't it?
We've removed the Lord, and now we pray to the paper, which is a Gestapo technique. Show us your papers, constantly show us your papers.
There used to be only 10 rules of engagement, the 10 Commandments, and now we have 150,000 million, or whatever the number actually is.
Made by someone on a whim.
Yep.
Yes, yes. Like
Did anything happen to your daughter when she apparently ran away during all that?
This is something that's happened in my areas. I've been able to document it. Some young girls get a job down in the town. It's always the same restaurant, always with the same owner, and then their heads are turned to believe that it's a terrible family they have. They're involved in the auto accident, and then they're stalked away, and they're stalked so bad they run away from home. And my daughter would cry to me. She'd say, "Mom, they're following me. What am I going to do?" Now, you tell me as an American what to say to my little baby child when it's her own police stalking her. How do you say that to an American child?
Sure.
Because now you're in
But
Iraq.
she's sure,
you got no law here.
she was sure that the police are following
Absolutely.
her.
I took pictures of the photographs, and then when I drove past police headquarters, I said, "Oh, look, all the cars are parked there. What do you think that means?" But, of course, you have to be careful when you talk about the men in uniform.
So let me just hear a little bit about your results and going through to, you want to tell people the area that this is occurring in?
Well, it's the town where the immigrant was stalked and killed 5 years ago, and the 5th Precinct failed to investigate it, so they had to call in the Justice Department to overlook the invisible investigative techniques used by that body.
What was the result of some of these agencies you went to? Is there anything specific you can tell me that, tell the audience, I should say?
Well, the Department of Human Rights did talk to the police department and ask them to have a internal affairs investigation.
No hate crimes unit or anything like that involved?
No, there's no such thing as a hate crime as I understood it when I went down to make a complaint. They
There's
said it would
there's a
be
bureau now.
aggravated harassment.
There is a bureau now.
Oh, look at that. We got another little department to jump through.
Yes.
I guess they have a form to fill out. And I bet you the form would need my name, my address, and my social security number, and probably my driver's license number.
What happened at the Attorney General? I'm very curious about that.
No, that was the fraud complaint unit. Well, there's one here in Suffolk County. When I sent them the documents proving that they folded someone else's loan into my student loan. Now, proof of financial fraud in New York State, the Attorney General will award you up to $1 million if you're like a whistleblower that turns in proof of financial fraud. The other part of financial fraud is when you detect it, the debt is forgiven, which means they pumped up my student loan to be $110,000. And then when I said, but wait a minute, you've folded someone else's loan into mine, that's fraud, and now you can't get your money back,
right.
It became silent. Very interesting, very interesting.
What else do you think is in store for you out in front? Do you think you're safe now?
Well, in the county of Suffolk right now, the way it's going, the Gestapo techniques that they're using, it's really a Ferguson. And this is what I'm saying to the rest of the world. America's in trouble. Suffolk County is in real trouble. We need help here. We need help. Now, I'm living in Mogadishu as far as I can tell, because these guys in uniforms, they're hunting my family. But you know what, who my witness is? It's called the cell phone and the camera. And that has, I noticed, saved other Americans in other parts of the country.
Right.
So
You notice in our area we can't have... is
that right?
We can't have cameras inside the courtroom.
Oh.
You can't bring your phone inside the courtroom because they have cameras attached to it.
To crimes going on.
Right, so we've been appealing to the state to have that happen so that we can get some...
Many of the judges are past SCPD, NYPD. You see, I've got my little... Do I get a parade?
Did I say retired mother?
I'm a retired mother. Yes, I served 18 years.
Would be, yeah.
I don't get a pension or a parade. You know what they do with a retired mother? Crumble her up and go, bing. You're not a breeder, you're not an earner. We got no use
you
for you in
performed a
America.
good service as a mother. Look at it that way.
We got no use for a mother in America, and that's when we began to really fail. That's when this country failed.
So, going forward here, what can you expect? I'm trying to figure out where do you want to go with this.
Of course, I've created the Police Watch. I'm chairwoman for the Police Watch Committee for the National Organization for Women, and we're the eyes and the ears for the women because, of course, we've built our multi-million-dollar firehouses, but in the last 30 years, I have not seen a women's center or a family center built on my island. So they're all in their firehouses, in their castles, plotting their little games, putting their medals on in uniforms, and the women and the mothers are watching. So now we are watching.
Well, they have custodial situations inside police offices. I don't know if you know that domestic violence people are stationed inside some of these police offices. In some of these precincts. They have them there already.
Would that be the precincts where they have the Irish emblems hanging up and the rosary beads?
Oh, I don't know where they are. I don't match that up. Yeah, well, I don't know that either. No, that's not.
Well, that's not different. America. Oh, no.
No, different mothers organization. I'm talking about the National Organization for Women. have
the domestic violence?
their domestic violence sectors inside these police precincts now.
Wow, look at
Not
that.
every single one of them, but
Yeah.
this has been going on for years now.
Yes, yes,
But I
yes.
don't know what good they have. I don't know what they're performing.
Yes, I don't have a uniform and I don't have a gun, so
Okay,
what good do I have in a precinct?
what I want you to do in this last 2.5 minutes here is sum this up so you can either help
Well-
others or describe a little further anything you want to do.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, you're
I
welcome.
am Pamela Smith. I'm an American. I was born here. My family has a long military history defending this country. I'm a Christian. I have no ties to a terrorist organization. I have no knowledge or affiliation of terrorist organizations. I have no criminal history or any criminal involvement, and I love Jesus Christ as my Savior. So let me say that. So all of the things that they would have tried to villainize me, it's not going to work. My second part is, of course, I did publish the book, Corrupt Police, a book of letters to the police in Suffolk County, New York, to send the word out that we're in real trouble in Suffolk County. Something's going really wrong here.
Well, you know, ordinarily, and for a lot of people, they're going to look at this just like at many of my programs, and they'll say, seems like a conspiracy here.
Yes,
a
she's
lot of
crazy.
people are unwilling. That's okay.
That's all right.
I don't think so. But you know,
No,
the
no.
point is that there are others who I've had on the show recently who I have identifying records,
Yes,
and they
we've
can
got
tell you all
everything.
these things are going on.
All the
Yet they're
paper.
still in the same place, removed from their
Because we
residence,
need
or just
help
not.
now.
Yes,
America's under siege.
I believe you're right, and I got to wrap up the show. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I appreciate that. Americans are fast becoming, you may want to listen to this. Americans are fast becoming victims of brain salad surgery. Political corruption, social perceptions, and media-driven narratives are rapidly carrying away our republic, our very understanding of what America is. Our nation, our government is disrupted and confused by a new social order, and we are losing our common sense, making us vulnerable to strikes of deceit from within and outside our borders. Our aim on FIT TV is to supercharge Americans with education. Catch us on YouTube, search FIT-TV, then select the picture channels and my picture. Thank you very much for watching FIT TV, and we'll see you again.